So hello and welcome everyone to this training for 6-step process for building your sustainable therapy, coaching or consulting business. Before we start, I actually wanted to open up with a little question for you. I know a lot of you are running your own businesses and a lot of you are working in the field, supporting others and supporting a lot of people with mental health issues. So take time to share in the comments what has been your experience of your own mental health, and also what struggles have you been experiencing delivering your own services and your business support to your clients. It will be interesting to hear where you are and your points on this. And while you do that, I will share some of my approach to ways of working that will give you probably a little bit more insights into why we do what we do here at our Elite Mind Academy. And for the first lockdown, we could see that there's been the way the situation throughout the COVID has been handled, that during the first lockdown, there has been no instructions for other therapists and counselors, psychologists, consultants who are providing face-to-face service. There was no really guidelines whether they are allowed to work, and if they do, how that should look like. So a lot of consultants, a lot of independent practitioners stopped working at that time. And as we know that mental health services are way overwhelmed to be providing mental health services at the moment. Therefore, there's been a lot of reliance on private mental health support. However, practitioners were not able to work during the first lockdown. During the second lockdown, there has been some case that has been opened, filed against the government for some legislation that they have made. Fortunately, some of that legislation has been revoked just back in December, but as a result of all of this turmoil, even a little bit earlier, the government started to introduce some rules for face-to-face services and mental health support to continue. However, what they haven't considered is the fact that by then, all of the properties that were renting venues and therapy rooms for those consultants now were closed, and they were receiving business relief rates, which means that they did not open up even though practitioners were allowed to work. So I personally, working in that field as mental health coach, as a consultant, I could really see how so many people were struggling to receive the support that they need the most. But at the same time, I'm working in the business field, and I could see how those who are providing those services still struggling to reach their clients and still struggling to run their business. So how is that possible? How is it possible that at those challenging times when this support is needed the most, public services are not equipped to handle the scope of the problem that has been created as a result of this pandemic, and private mental health service providers, people like you and me, and those who are running our own businesses in support of others, we are still not able to reach those that we need, and we are still not able to provide those services to those who really could benefit from our help and support at the moment. So I'm really hoping that this training will set some systems and resources for you to give you a little bit more information about how you can reach those who need your help and support right now. And also we will share a project that has been set up in response to all of this corona crisis to help provide mental health support and to provide business support and training for those who are in people supporting roles in mental health, well-being and coaching fields. So I cannot see the questions when I'm streamlining. So if there are any important questions and so on, please do shoot them to our administrators, Aneta and Georgina, and then they will send some questions my way. Right, so who am I to be providing this training? Who am I to be delivering those resources and training for you guys in the first place? Well, my background, for those of you who don't know me, my background is really in business development, leadership training. I've also been working for over 10 years. I've also worked for Pret a Manger, and I was leading the project that helped to expand all of their business operations out of London into regional locations. So I was in charge of developing new operational models, training managers, leaders, delivering and building those new leadership and talent strategy systems to support organizational growth. So my expertise is really in business development. And after that, I've worked as well as a consultant, as a trainer and executive coach. Now, I came to London from Lithuania without speaking the language. I came here for what was supposed to be just a short summer holiday, and I was supposed to be here for only a couple of months, but 16 years on, I'm still here. And I got myself in a very difficult situation where it was not an option for me to go back home. So I've built my career here and my businesses from in those years, starting from that time that I didn't even speak the language. Now, Lithuania is one of those countries that has one of the highest suicide rates in the world. So while I was building my business, my family, my career, I also worked at a charity called Maitri that works to support suicidal people and those who are struggling with mental health issues. So for many years, I've been leading this double life, complete extremes. On one hand, I was working in this high pressure business environment where it's very challenging, it's high standards, it's high levels of stress. And I've been working with those high performers who actually thrive with that stress and pressure. But on the other hand, I was supporting these very, very vulnerable people who are struggling to cope with change, who are struggling to cope with events in their lives. Now, it all sounds great, me doing all of that while also studying, while raising a child. But one day I collapsed at work without being able to breathe, without being able to talk and walk. I couldn't feel my left hand. One of my hands was hot, another one was cold. And I've been taken to A&E, and after they've done all of the tests, they said, well, there's nothing wrong with you. This must be just some sort of burnout, anxiety, panic attack. And I was saying to them, well, I'm working with people who have anxiety and panic attacks, and I know that's not what it is. However, it's been really shocking for me to experience that, to go from this very strong person who was able to cope and perform in this high pressure environment, supporting others, building my life. And then suddenly my body gave up and I wasn't able to even walk, or I was struggling to breathe. So it was quite a big mental shock for me there. But guess what? I didn't learn the lesson. I spent a couple of weeks in bed, I've recovered, and I went back on to be working very, very hard and back on track on building my business and career. And a while later, I've learned, a couple of years after that, I've actually learned that inside my chest, I have a huge tumor. And it was growing from the back of my ribs. It was pushing inside my lungs. And that was the reason why I was having some of those strange symptoms of differences in my hands. And that was probably the reason why I had that collapse at work a while ago. Now, I was very lucky that the tumor was benign. However, the scope of the operation was still very serious in order to remove this. And 2 of my ribs had to be removed just to be able to take out the huge growth that was inside my chest. And as you can imagine, the night before the operation, where you have all of the team of all of your doctors coming in to meet you, and they start introducing themselves and they tell you what they're going to do the next day as part of the operation, then they leave. And then you have to sign this agreement. Sign here for all the consequences of this operation, including your own death. And that moment when I signed that agreement, I really regretted so many things in my life. And I was thinking, if this is really my last day, how exactly am I going to, how is my daughter, how is my family? I really regretted every moment that I've missed spending with my loved ones. I've missed every moment that I've sacrificed my health for the sake of my career and corporate profit. I've sacrificed my physical health and well-being. And luckily, when I've recovered, working in that corporate environment was not an option anymore. And I wanted to help others, support others more. And I found my company, Elite Mind, which is organizational well-being consultancy. And I'm helping organizations to set up those systems in place to support their employee well-being. And of course, I still continue coaching and helping others as a mental health coach and therapist. Throughout years, as well as I build my company, I started mentoring other consultants, other coaches, other therapists, especially on how to start and grow their own businesses. And I have now, as a result, or in response to this mental health crisis and everything that has been happening as a result of pandemic, I founded another company, and that is Elite Mind Business Academy. And this workshop is going to introduce a little bit more of our ways of working. And the purpose of setting this up was really to provide other independent professionals, coaches, therapists, consultants who are working in mental health and well-being space, to be that resource of support, to reach out to those who really need our help now the most, and do it in a way that we can make a living out of helping others and out of doing what we love. I have also been accepted with some of the project that we are doing with the technology and app that we are building, been accepted to Startup Leadership Program. I'm one of the fellows there, and it is a quite exclusive accelerator program for startups that have potential to make big social impact. So I'm really happy to have you here and for you guys to be sharing this journey with me. And I really hope that this will be useful and beneficial for you. So I think it's enough about me. You're welcome to read about me on my website, connect with me on LinkedIn, and you can learn there. Let's see how we can, what insights we can get out of my experiences so you can benefit from this. Here are just some companies that I've worked so far with. There's a consultant, as a leadership trainer. There are also some stages that I've presented on, and I'm often asked to speak on stages to either share my personal story and my journey, but also I'm talking about leadership development, mental health and well-being, and how organizations can build the supportive system and supportive culture to make sure that we achieve our business results, our professional results, in a way that doesn't sacrifice individual mental health and well-being. So here is a question for you guys. So I want to know why coaches, therapists, and consultants struggle to get clients. And as I've mentioned before, now it's the time where support is needed the most. So why is it that we are still struggling to get clients? So just take a moment to respond in a chat and let me know, what are your insights? What is it that you experiencing yourself? What stops you from running your effective business? And what do you think are those main reasons for us not being able to reach out to the right people? And Aneta, if you're okay to read for me, maybe some comments so far, to see what are the comments that are coming so far, that would be great.
Yeah, sure. So we have one from Svetislav. Good coaches are not necessarily good entrepreneurs.
Okay, anything else? What are the reasons there?
We have another one from Simon. Budget for executive coaching are frozen during the pandemic.
Yeah, absolutely. So especially for those of us who are working with organizations, there are definitely limitations. And again, I'm delivering both leadership training and well-being, and I can see that the executive coaching, leadership development is quite limited. However, there is a scope and space for us to provide services for mental health and well-being support. So hopefully this workshop will give you some insights to access that.
We have another one from Aaron. No differentiation, using coach speak in their marketing, not being specific about the outcomes they help clients achieve, and what Svetislav said.
Yeah, that's really valuable point. It's one of the biggest problems here, that all of the coaches, you ask them, who are you? I'm a coach. What do you do? I help people. And really a lot of coaches, therapists as well, consultants don't necessarily have that clear value proposition where they would be known for something and they would be offering clear help and support to resolve very specific problem. That's great. So here are some other insights as well that I can share with you that are from my own experience of mentoring and supporting others. So first of all is obviously one of the biggest ones, that they are not known. You get qualified, you pay so much money to build your qualifications, certifications, your expertise and experience. But then it doesn't matter how good you are if nobody knows about you. So a lot of people in this field, they don't necessarily know how to get known in the field. And again, how do you stand out from the crowd? Because you might be becoming just yet another coach, just yet another consultant, yet another therapist, counselor, psychologist. But how are you different from everybody else? How do you really stand out from that crowd? And then again, even if you do make something different, that, maybe your approach is a little bit different, very often we are not matching our strengths and our unique differences to specific audience. So who is it specifically that you want to help? If you try to help everyone, it will be very difficult for you to tailor your marketing messages to anyone. So it's very often becomes very generic, and our marketing language doesn't speak to any specific audience, and that is required for them to take that action to reach out to you. And again, if you don't know who your audience is, it's also very difficult to know what specific problems you need to resolve for them. So what is that specific issue that you are able to help them to work through? Lack of lead generation systems. So the whole process of making your audience aware of yourself and who you are, and steps and systems to drive them to the place where now they are reaching out to you to have that conversation with you. And then next, you have now that conversation. You don't know how to close a sale. You don't know how to manage that conversation into to turn from that person who's just having a chat with you to now your paying client. And also very often, especially it's true for therapists, we do not necessarily have clear measures and KPIs to measure the progress. And even the results and outcomes that we produce for our clients. So those who work in businesses, they often have a little bit clearer structures for it. But when it comes to supporting people's mental health and well-being, how do you measure what it means to be healthy, to feel happy? So there is a lack of ways to demonstrate your clear results. And again, if you have no ways to demonstrate that, that then in turn affects your ability to offer the quality of your services to others, because how you demonstrate that it works, how you demonstrate your results. So those are just some of the main problems. I'm sure there are some other ones on the list, but those are the biggest ones. So if that's the problem, here is our solution. So throughout the years of mentoring other people who are starting their own businesses, I came up with a process that helps you to break down those clear steps in the right order that you need to build your business, and sustainable systems in place to drive the progress. And this applies for anybody who's, let's say, just got qualified and they're looking to start, but also this process can be used all throughout your life cycle of your business to constantly drive improvement at every process of your way. So its order of this discovery is also very important. And first is having that clear brand identity, being known for something specific. It's very important that you know what you want to be known for, and you have that clear niche of your personal identity that you can use that for that brand building and authority in the field. It's very important that we understand very clear audience that we want to serve. As much as we want to help everybody else, everyone in the world, it's important that we tailor our marketing message to very specific audience. Once that audience is established, there will be other people who don't fall into that category that will be reaching out to us, because simply we are seen as experts in that field if we have that clear niche. And then once we have that clear audience, it's much easier then for us to define what is that specific problem that you solve. Then we can dig in deeper and understand what are those specific needs of those specific types of people that you want to serve. And again, that helps us to tailor our message in a right way. And only once we have those established, that then we can start building our specific lead generation systems. So how exactly you get those right people with those specific problems reaching out to you, asking to have conversation with you. And they're asking for that conversation because they're interested in your help and support, and not just chit chat and a networking event. And then once you have that conversation, what are your processes for driving that friendly chat into turning this person into a paying customer? A lot of people in mental health and well-being space, a lot of consultants do not necessarily have that right sales training to be able to handle those conversations in the right way. And there is so much more there than just a sales process. It's about our own self-worth, how we value ourselves. It's about limiting beliefs that we have about our services, about ourselves, about money. And that definitely shapes our success that we can achieve out of this conversation. And then when somebody says, yes, I want to work with you, where do I sign up? What is your method for delivering clear results and outcomes for them? So how are you unique? How can you guarantee their success? And that is very important as well, to know that method when you go into that sales process as well, even though it's listed here in this way, because it's important that people say, okay, this is what you can do, but how exactly is it going to work? So the beauty of this process is that it seems so simple, but it allows the flexibility for each and every one of you to take it and tailor it into your own systems. And you will see so many salesy people offering you blueprints for success. Sign up here and I'll tell you what I have done to grow my 6 million business. And you can just repeat the steps, repeat my process for your business, and you have the same results. But guess what? It doesn't work, because those processes are somebody else's blueprints, and they do not necessarily apply for your business, for your unique expertise, for your unique styles and approaches. Definitely, there are a lot of helpful methods, blueprints, and trainings out there, but the success of that depends on implementation and how well you're able to adapt to yourself. So the simplicity of this process is that it has all of the flexibility in it to tailor, to create your own processes, to create your own identity, to create your own ways of generating leads. And there is no just one blueprint that you would have to replicate. It's a process of developing yourself and developing your business. And it's not a tick box exercise that I've done once, I've created this, and I'm done. It's ongoing process of always reviewing those processes and looking at what we can do better at every step to drive our business. So what we'll do next is we're going to look at each of those in turn, and we'll begin a little bit deeper, and hopefully that will give you a little bit more insights into what exactly we need to be looking at when we are developing those steps for ourselves. So any comments, any questions, please do type it in a chat, and I will be addressing those questions at the end, and we can have a conversation. So let's start with that brand identity. Now, I want to make sure that this workshop is as practical as possible, and I'd like to guide you to create your own statement that can help you to stand out. I know it's very difficult to compare ourselves to big brands and have all of these big labels that we can recognize from everywhere. But the principle is the same. What is it that you are known for? And when your name is visible, when somebody says, when somebody is introducing you to their friends, what would you like them to say about you? What do you want to be known for? And here is this template here that I have, that I find very, very useful to create some of your unique personal value proposition. And the way we do that is by including some of those first 3 steps that we had in one sentence. So I help. So who is it that you help specifically? to do what? And it's important that this is specific. It's an outcome. It's a positive intention there that you are able to insert. And then at the end, you add when or where, or at what situation, at what time you are creating, you are offering that help and support to those people. So for example, you could say, I help executives to manage their stress levels at the time of organizational change and restructuring. You could say, I help suicidal people to regain hope and love for life, or to regain hope when they lost their love for life. So what you are doing here is that you are creating those three pre-qualifying statements that when you say the statement to someone, person in their head goes like, yeah, that's me. Yes, I need that. And yes, I am in this situation right now. So simply when you go to networking events, when you are introducing yourselves, again, this is your tagline for your LinkedIn profile that really helps you to position yourself in the front of right people. So anybody who's reading it, they can very clearly say, who is it that you're working with, what results you help them to achieve, and when exactly they need to reach out to you. And that's where people can relate to what you do, and that's where you get recommended, because you are you have very clear value proposition here in that one statement of an introduction. And you're welcome to type your brand statement. So I'd encourage you to use this template, and would be great to share for anybody who's typing that in the Facebook group. I'll be able to look at that later as well and see if we can refine it and tweak it and so on. So please share your own brand statements there. So I help whom to do what, and then you finish that with a specific situation where, when do you really reach out to them? So some of the examples could be, let's say, if I use one from one of the people that I've mentored. It was a consultant who's working with equality and diversity and helping to establish cultures within organizations, and she was really struggling to position herself in that field, because equality and diversity is very needed now, but how do you stand out from other consultants who work in the same field? And what we created for her was that I help HR consultants to demonstrate clear culture values at the time during the recruitment process, because they realize that that's what the biggest problem is, that a lot of people who want to get into a specific company, they apply on it's very important whether that culture is relatable to them, and companies struggle to demonstrate that. So you can see how that is so different to very, very specific I'm equality and diversity specialist. So the more specific you can make it, the more niched you have, and the more needed your services will be. So please share your statements, and I'm really looking forward to reading those. So who do you serve? So you have that clear value proposition. You become known for something. Now, who do you really serve? Understanding that specific client. So if you're serving other professionals in specific industry, if you are serving specific job role or title, if you are focusing on specific age, on specific gender, on specific cultural characteristics, if you are tailoring for specific professions, it's very important that you know who is that avatar that we would be creating for you to serve. And it's also very important to know how are they similar to you, because for people to relate to you, they need to have the level of sameness to help them to build that trust, to be relatable to you. So maybe you had similar experiences, maybe there is a story that you can relate to them, maybe you are from the same background or sharing the same struggles or environment. What are their similarities that can help you to relate to them? But also, in order for them to buy from you, you need to be seen as having something that they don't. You can have a lot of similarities, but if you are seen as only as peer-to-peer networking, no one is going to buy from each other. One of the person need to show that actually I have something, some resources, some tools, some experiences that other person now needs. So it's this dilemma between I am like you and I want to be like you. Hitting that sweet spot between those two is really a key in relating to that ideal audience. And it's very important you understand what are their specific pains, what are their dreams, how their days look like, what keeps them awake at night, what do they dream about, where do they hang out, what do they do in their at their leisure time. So it's very important that you really understand that. So Nelly, when you it's when your language and your marketing messages are tailored to that specific audience, they will feel like you're entering that conversation that they're having in their own heads, and they have that instant connection with you and trust and understanding that you can build from there. And tendency for those who are new is to go as wide as we can, because it's very difficult to establish that clear area of expertise. It's very difficult to know who do you want to help. But by trying to make it too wide, we are often struggling to connect with anyone. So it's important to choose something, and that is not something that you stuck with for life. It evolves. This always grows with you, with your experiences, with your education, and with your journey, learning about clients that you work with. You will be able to choose more specifically. And once you know who that audience is, it becomes much easier to really dig into their specific problems, to complete specific surveys, to really put yourself into their shoes and understand what is it that they're struggling with. But it's also very important to understand that situation when this is the problem for them. And it's important that we have that emotional language that we can relate to their experiences. And that applies to both of their pains that they're struggling with, and also some of their hopes and dreams and their wishes. We need to be able to relate to both. Now, when we are offering some solution, when we are resolving a specific problem, what is important to realize is knowing what type of solution we are providing. And here I would like to use this example of medicines and vitamins. So medicines is something that obviously you will use when you are sick, when you're already in pain and you need that urgent relief, that urgent treatment. Vitamins is preventative thing, right? You take that to prevent getting to that crisis situation in the first place, to keep yourself healthy and strong and so on. So when you are building your solution for that specific problem, it's very important to understand the differences between you solving that urgent problem, and therefore your solution needs to be medicine-like, or is it just a preventative maintenance thing? And then your language of marketing and the way of reaching the people will be very different. So bear this in mind. Very often we do a bit of both. We try to reach people who are in crisis, but we are using the language of the vitamin sales techniques and so on. So it's very, very important to have this clear and understand what is it exactly that you're trying to do. Is it more of a preventative thing, or you're actually dealing with a specific crisis situation, as that will really shape your marketing language and communication from that point. So there we are, those 3 steps. So we know what you want to be known for. You have that clear audience. We have the clear problem that you solve. How do you now package that into the system that helps you to drive those right people to have conversations with you? And I'm sure you've seen this image, this traditional sales funnel, and I'm not going to go into all of that. It's really not necessary, because the systems that we're creating has to be yours. They don't necessarily have to follow those steps. But the only thing that you have to bear in mind is that you need to have a process and funnel in place to drive people through the journey from being these cold leads, meaning that they have never heard of you and they are not aware of what you are doing, to warm when they are being educated about you and the issues and problems you solve, to hot ones where now they know that what you offer is needed for them and it's tailored to their situation. So it's important that you have a process to drive people through different stages, and you have different ways of communicating to people at different stages, right? And very often, sometimes we are contacted by somebody who is at that first stage of awareness. They've just learned about us, and maybe they want to have a chat with us because they want to learn a little bit more. And yet we have that conversation and we start selling them something during that call. And that's where we lose them, because the purpose of the conversation at the first stage is to drive people to the second stage. And it's important that our language and our calls to action and all of the flow of data and information is actually tailored to build trust at every stage, to increase urgency of taking action, and have those very clear calls to action at every step. And they're different. If you start selling at the first step, you lost them. The call to action there is maybe download my ebook. Maybe it's subscribe to my mailing list. Maybe it's follow me on LinkedIn. Maybe come and watch me talk. Come here and do this workshop, right? So it's very important that we understand and tailor the language to every person where they are at that different stage. Not being aware of the stages that person is in the sales process, and not being able to tailor our process accordingly will result in us losing those clients at some stage. And this process can be manual, and we can have those conversations at every step in person, but we can also automate a lot of those processes and build those tech solutions to drive people from one step to the other. So then you are saving your precious time where it's needed from there. So let's say you get to that place. Now the person is there. They in that final step, now they are ready to buy. You are having that conversation with them. How do you really close that sale? How do you handle that conversation in a way that translates them into that loyal customer? It's very important we have a very clear process, first of all, for qualifying people for that call and knowing what stage of the process they are before they have that call with you. So as we've mentioned before, do they want to have this call because they are simply curious about something, or they're actually struggling with this issue and they're ready to buy now? It's important that we are aware what step of the sales process they are in. It's important we establish clear expectations with that person about what is it that they expect out of that call. Very often we jump into the conversations as a friendly chit chat, and there we are struggling to move it from this friendly relationship building into sales conversation. So it's important we have those expectations to say, well, the purpose of this call is, and this is what's going to happen. Then it's important that the most part of that call you actually spend understanding that person you're speaking to, understand their pains, understand what is it exactly what is it they are going through. There is this statement that I really, really love, and it's something from some of my sales training that I've participated in. And one of the best sales trainers, what they said to me, that if you open the client well enough, they will close themselves. And what this means, that if we are really taking interest in the person, if we're really opening up to understand their pains, their dreams, what they're trying to achieve, all that we need is then to be able to match their pain to the solution that we have. And we can do that without selling anything. We can do that by telling stories, by illustrating how some of these solutions have worked for some other clients, and so on. And it's really the way to close the sale at the end of it is really to demonstrate why is it you that is the right person to deliver that service and support to them, and why now? What happens if they don't take action right now? So it's important to build that trust and match their pain with your solution, and build that understanding that it's you who are the right person, not somebody else, and it's now that they need to be signing up. So hopefully that helps. And then the final thing is, okay, now they signed up. What happens next? So how exactly you deliver your measurable results? What are your unique ways that are proven to deliver results? So even during that sales call, you need to be able to explain to people how exactly this is going to look like. So you would ask them, so would you like me to tell you how it would look like if we work together? So this includes specifics of how do you sign the contract, who contacts who and when, how do we communicate, how do we make a payment, how do you deliver results, what are the tools and techniques that you are using, what are the qualifications you have, are there previous case studies that can illustrate the success of your results, how do you establish the starting point, how do you establish the outcomes that you are working towards, and how do you then measure the success based on those initial goals and outcomes that you've set up. And while it's important to have your own methods, it's also important to let your clients know that, you know what, this is what I found worked so far, but my approach is tailored for each person, for each individual. Because if you are only selling those off-the-shelf solutions, off-the-shelf medicines, then you know what, it's not exactly what that person needs. So it's very important that you demonstrate your ability to be flexible and tailor your method to that individual. And offering a guarantee, offering money back guarantee if no success is achieved throughout the process, can really do miracles to your sales process and really demonstrates your credibility and reputation, because that really shows that you are so confident in your ways of delivering, that you are happy to offer that guarantee. And here is the image of some of my example of my methodology and my approaches that I use in my consulting work. And I use different levels of intelligence and use neuroscience behind it to work with your brain, that is your cognitive intelligence, your awareness, your knowledge, everything that you know, and your self-awareness, so your head, that's your insight. Then you have your heart, and that's your emotional intelligence. This is your energy, your relationships, your ability to regulate your stress, your impulses, ability to adapt your responses and behaviors to the situation. So it's that emotional intelligence that you have there, and it's that right energy, that inspiration. And then knowing is not enough. Having full of energy and motivation and pumped up after the course, and then going back to work and not making a difference obviously will not help unless you apply it in practice. So the impact, all of the strategic implementations, your steps, your actions, and that relates to your gut, your somatic intelligence. So somatic intelligence is your subconscious body intelligence that drives a lot of habits subconsciously. So so that's some of my approaches that that I use. But of course, there's a lot of other tools, techniques, and ways of working that that I have to back it up. So it's important you have some of your own approaches that you can rely on. So there we are. So those are the processes of 6 steps. I would love to hear what is your biggest takeaway. If you type in the chat box, what is your biggest thing that you are taking out of this 6-step process? What is your light bulb moment? And most importantly, what will you do differently? Not what you can do differently now, but what will you do differently? Don't think about the whole system. If you can choose only one little thing that you can focus on that will make the biggest difference, the biggest impact in the long term, what will that be? What is one thing that you can do differently now that you have this bit of awareness? And obviously this is just a tiny tip of the iceberg. There is so much more there that is needed to dig in deeper and to unpack each of those 6 steps that we'll be delivering some workshops on each of them specifically. But hopefully this just gives you the framework and kind of introduction to my ways of working and mentoring others. But now you might feel quite overwhelmed with all of this information and you think like, oh my God, there's so much work to do. There is so much that I need in order to create, to set up, to learn. How on earth will I get there? And that's where I would love to share some exciting news for you guys, and something that I'm really glad and very proud of my team and everything that we have been working recently to be able to introduce this to you. Well, my team has been building an online platform and app that helps to deliver mental health services, coaching, consulting, any service that is delivered in one-to-one setting or one-to-group in your personal approach. We have a platform that will help you to deliver those services and have all of the admin tools in one place to run your business. So where do you book your sessions? How do you take your payments? How do you sign your contracts? How do you measure that progress? How do you set the goals, and where do you take your notes? How do you demonstrate the results? So the app is really helping to package all of these admin-y things to help you to focus on doing your best and being your best and doing what you love. But I'd like to take this a step further. Now, think back from the beginning of this conversation when we were looking at the situation of the state of mental health, national mental health crisis that we have right now, and a lot of people are struggling with this. So put yourself in the shoes of that person who is maybe experiencing those mental health issues for the first time. They don't know where to go. They don't know what to do. The first thing, they will be sent to NHS. We know that even before COVID, waiting list to see a private practitioner through public services could be up to 7 months long. So then you will try to go to find someone privately. So someone like you, someone like me, someone who has their own independent ways of working and helping others. But how do you find the right person? If you look at all these databases, you look at plenty of websites, you Google the question, and you have thousands and thousands of pages of resources and information. And for someone who is in that place where they're really vulnerable, they are not in place to be making those decisions, to be having all of the discovery sessions, to be looking for the right person. So how do they find the right person? And as you know, mental health is complex issue. It's not just about thinking positively or managing your stress. You might be having mental health issues because your diet is very poor. You might have mental health issues because you have some hormonal imbalances. It might be because of some genetic influences. It might be due to your lifestyle, or it may be due to the pressures at your work, your relationships, your family, COVID pressures, whatever that is. And really traditional approaches to mental health do not necessarily cover all of those approaches. So what we have built here is that we are building an app that has this inbuilt diagnostic assessment that helps person to self-assess, and it helps them to identify what are the biggest areas of risk that they need to manage, and what are the biggest areas that are these key areas of strength that they could use to their advantage to influence all the other areas in their lives. And based on that, it will set them very practical steps and goals and little milestones that they can achieve to first help themselves. But of course, at some stage, they will get to the place where you cannot receive mental health support. There's obviously limited amount of support you can receive through the app, right? And that's where I will need your help and support, guys. I think it's very important that we build academy of members who are willing to go out of their way to help those who need the help the most. And it's very important that we have those specific areas of expertise that we can tune in. So now that when person is completing the diagnostic assessment, where they go through the steps of certain levels of self-help, the next step would be that they would be receiving a piece of content, a piece of training, a piece of maybe guided audio recording. Maybe there is a small e-learning from you through the app, so they have a chance to actually try your services, try your approaches. And if they like that, that's when they would be introduced to you, and it becomes a very natural way of generating those leads without actually going through that hassle of these vulnerable people asking for help. Really, it would really be accessible at your fingertips with very, very clear directions of what specific help and support you need, and who are those right professionals who could address your specific needs, your specific problems for your current situation. And this is what we're really, really excited to announce. On 1st of February, we are opening our Elite Mind Academy. And this is not for everyone. This is really invite only, exclusive club where we need to be confident that if I'm recommending someone, if I'm offering somebody services on my platform, on my brand, that affects my reputation and my brand and the quality of the business that we will be able to deliver. Therefore, every person who we are offering the services through our app, they have to be checked, vetted, qualified. And if we have those right people, then guess what? In return, I'm committed to offer all of the business training, all of the business development, and further mental health awareness training. Because here, I think one unique thing that we are trying to do here is that for those people who are in mental health field, we want to be offering them business skills. And for those people who are in businesses, so that's where we are including here coaches and consultants, you are this support resource that can make a difference in people's well-being and mental health. And we need more of these people in businesses to be able to drive the change, because guess what? National services will not be delivering that. We cannot be relying on the broken system to deliver that. So we need to take that responsibility. So far, anyone who is not medically qualified practitioner was not allowed to work with individuals who are suffering with mental health issues. So if you are, let's say, a coach, and somebody opens up to you that they are depressed, they are suffering with OCD or bipolar or whatever, will say, no, I can't help you. I'm a coach, I'm not a therapist. And now we shut the door to the face of this vulnerable person who actually came to us for help and open up. And yet we are sending them back to the broken system, back to the place where we know that they're not going to be looked after. So I'd really like to invite every one of you to take a responsibility and say, well, do I really need to be medically qualified professional to be that point of support? And my goal for the long term is to equip everyone who is in people supporting roles with those mental health awareness tools to be able to help others. Now, some of you who are maybe therapists, counselors, and trained psychologists, you might have some alarm bells in your head. You're thinking like, no, you can't do that. You can't just get other not qualified professional to work with mental health. But this is the difference. Those people would not necessarily be working on mental health issue, but they are simply working with the person. I think it's just about the time we transcend all of these labels and boundaries and diagnostics of stigmatizing labels, really, and we work with human beings, and we can build that awareness and training and provide that training for you guys to be able to offer that support regardless whether that person is suffering with mental health issues or not. And as you know, that sometimes you might be in the process of working with someone and they will be experiencing some mental health issues that they're not even aware of themselves. So how do we support them in the right way? So what we did here, that we are building an academy where every month you will be receiving 2 pieces of training. One for your business development and taking your business to the next level and really digging deeper into those small steps of this big overall 6-step process. And also looking at your personal development, improving yourself, improving your mindset, learning practical tools to support others' mental health and well-being, having expert insights and guest interviews. We also having monthly supervision session because it's important that we have a safe space just to be. It's not all about learning. It's not all about listening to expert insights. Where do you simply go where you can be, where you had very difficult session with a client? Where do you actually go where you can offload and share some of your struggles and pains? And then again, as you did that, knowing is not enough. How do you apply? And for this, we also have weekly focus Friday networking groups that are specifically built on driving your progress and putting everything into action, everything into practice. So every Friday, you would be reviewing your achievements and what you have done for the week behind you, and you'd be setting goals for the next week, and you'll be receiving support, guidance to help you to achieve those goals, and whether that's personal goals for yourself or that could be as well for driving your business and taking your business to the next level. And as well, I have a team, guys, who are able to offer all of the admin support, somebody who can manage social media accounts, someone who can do the admin, someone who can build the websites, branding, logos, manage your CRMs and data systems, so we can focus on doing what we do best. And I'd be more than happy to open my team as a resource for you guys. I think it's very difficult sometimes to find, VAs, PAs, somebody who could rely on that. But if we have a resource pool where we're supporting each other, where we are sharing our own strengths and resources, then together we can definitely achieve so much more. So what can we do with this? So I'd like to invite you guys, as I mentioned, I would love to invite some committed people who want to make a difference in mental health and well-being space, whether you are qualified as a mental health practitioner or you are working as a coach, as a consultant in other people-facing and business supporting roles. We have a great role to play in driving, really transforming the landscape of mental health. So for opening, I'm asking for very, very small commitments that are to promote that positive approach to mental health, and never shut the door in the face of the person who needs help. See the person behind the label and really do what you can to help and support. And we give you the resources to be able to do that. It's all also about enabling others to help themselves. And I'm all about practical tools. There's so much talk recently about mental health and well-being awareness, but there's so little practical change that is happening. It's, the world is full of influencers sharing their insights and inspiring everybody. And in businesses as well, they say, well, talk about your mental health, talk about your struggles. But then what? Somebody opens up and say, I don't want to live. And you freak out and people don't know what to do. We still don't have tools in place to support businesses, to support others in the right way. So that is the commitment that I'd encourage everyone to be interested in developing those practical tools to encourage others to help themselves and not send them away somewhere else unnecessarily. And also commitment to your own personal development. I am very happy to invest in supporting others, people's businesses, growth and well-being. But you need to demonstrate that you have that commitment in your own personal development. You are willing to invest in your own growth, in your own learning, as that's the only way really to grow and learn. You always step up. You're not the same person today as you were yesterday. And it's very, very important. We have that hunger for improving ourselves, because it's on our expertise, on our approach, that our success and the help that we can provide others depends. And then again, it's all about support and networking. Very often in business field, there's a lot of competitiveness. People don't want to share their approaches. People don't want to share their successes. They hanging on to that. But you know what? We are so much stronger together, because if I have, let's say, business skills, somebody else has coaching skills, somebody has greatest insights for mental health and practical tools to achieve specific problems. By sharing our best tools, we all adding to our own toolkit. I think it's not about being selfish here, and it's not about being able to generate my own business. It's about being able to make an impact and help others to the maximum capacity. So by sharing some of our tools and techniques, while still being unique and still having our areas of expertise, is a key in expanding that network of support throughout our academy. And there's something that I have not shared before, and I'm really, really excited to be sharing this, but we are actually in the process of developing accreditation system, where we would be looking at 4 professional standards, and that would include therapeutic skills, coaching skills, and business skills, as well as usual ethics and integrity. There is no any other accreditation body that actually includes business skills as a requirement. And I think if we want to drive success in therapy, in mental health, we cannot do that if we do not equip those professionals in people supporting roles with business skills. So we are including that, and we want to promote the investment in business training and for those people who are in well-being and mental health supporting roles. So guys, if that sounds like you, if you want to come on this journey, if you really want to be part of this future, shaping others, shaping the future of mental health, shaping the way we deliver the services, bridging the gap between therapy and coaching, learning those best business skills, I would like to invite you to apply for our membership. Again, this is a selection process where you would go through some of our criteria to make sure that you meet some of those minimum standards, where I would be happy to promote you through our brand, through our app, and through our online platform. So as our online platform is in development, now we have time to build your business and to get ready to scale, to be ready to support others in different areas. And I know some of you have business skills, some of you have therapy skills, some others have different areas of expertise, and we can combine that, and together we can definitely make an impact, facilitated through that technology. As I've mentioned before, our business idea has been selected to take part in Startup Leadership Accelerator program, and we are pitching for funding to finish development of our online platform. But we have all the systems in place, and I'm very, very proud to say that the team has worked really, really hard to develop entire training academy, and we have all of the agenda for training events for the rest of the year. We have accredited supervisors ready to help you there. And for as long as I know that I have right people who want to come on this journey and support us, in turn, I'm happy to offer all of the business training and business tools in return. So here is the link where you can book an interview with me, and we are choosing first 100 people as our initial founding members of our club. And those 100 people will be the first ones who will trial the app, will be the first ones who will trial some of our services and approaches that we are building on our online platform. Those will be the first ones who will be featured as those vetted professionals that we can then promote your services to others. And also you have that opportunity to shape this whole academy and the future of this accreditation system, and have a say in being the first ones to shape this exciting project. So for as long as you meet that criteria, I'd love for you to book a call with me, and we can explore what are those unique things that you can offer to the club, what is your contribution that you can bring, how you can make the difference, and just to make sure that you have that willingness to do the right thing at the times when where those skills are needed the most. What you get in return is this: you have one workshop for your personal development every month. You have one workshop for your business training and your business development every month. You have a supervision session, which is actually, I'm really excited to share as well, that our supervisor is someone who was a monk for 15 years, and he is now accredited mentor and supervisor, wanting to bring his Buddhist philosophy back into the business and mental health field. And that would be the person who's opening his door to you guys to host those supervision sessions every month. And then every Friday, we have those networking support groups that are specifically tailored to drive the progress, to put your learnings into action, to really scale your businesses, to really develop your own mindset and your own belief systems to the place where, as soon as the platform is ready, we are able to scale and grow and position you as that expert in your own field, in your own area of expertise. So with all of that packaged in, I just love to ask you here, so how much do you think this package is worth to you? And just have that figure in your head. And if you want, actually be curious as well to see if you want to type in the number in the chat box. If you were to pay for those services, if you're paying for supervision session, if you're paying for weekly networking mentorship support group, if you are paying for 2 mentorship training sessions, what is that worth to you? And I'd love to share some of my expertise and some of my team and so on. And the reasons why I'm doing this is is not for money, but because we want to make the difference and really want to support mental health and change the landscape of how well-being and mental health services are being delivered. And therefore, all we are asking from these founding members of 100 people who are joining first is just an admin fee of £39 a month. And that is really just to maintain the technology and things that we need to deliver those services to you. And that is just as a thank you for wanting to be part of this, for wanting to make a difference. And for as long as we meet those requirements and criteria, I'd love to be sharing some of my expertise, but also tapping into the network of other professionals who can be offering their areas of expertise and training to the members of our academy. So once again, I encourage you to book a call with me, and we can just explore if you fit those requirements for our founding members. And I'd love to learn more about you, what gifts you have to bring, and what can you offer to our potential clients through the app, and what you can offer to this community, because it's all about networking, it's all about support, about having this expertise that we can give to others, and then we will be generously rewarded in return throughout this community. So I think that's enough about us, and that's enough about what we do. I would just open up here at this stage for any questions, any comments here.